Good morning, students. In the last lecture, we discussed the processes which are involved in the industries, that is inputs, processing part of it, and the output. Now, all industries are based on these three steps of processes. Now, let's go one step further and see which are the kinds of industries which are abundantly available in the entire world. So, there are three types of industries which are which have a very prominent place in the industrial sector. The first one being iron and steel industries. The second can be in the chronological order, the textile industry, and the third would be the IT industry, the information technology industry. Very prominent place they hold in the industrial sector. Now, amongst these three, iron and steel is the oldest, because the establishment of these industries was way long back when compared to the IT industry. IT industry is considered to be the emerging industry, still in the development process. Not only IT, you've got wellness industries also now coming up, like the spas, and you have various massage centers and all. These are all yoga, meditation centers. These are the wellness ones. And you have various types of industries coming up now. They're prospering. They are called the emerging industries. So, lots of iron and steel industries are there throughout the world. You have them in Japan, you have them in China, you have them in USA, you have them in India. IT industries also you'll find all over. Best is the Silicon Valley, which you have in India. The best example of it is Silicon Valley in India. Now let's highlight in this lecture about the iron and steel industries. Now the iron and steel industries undergo the same process as I told in the prior lecture. The input here would be the raw material what is needed to extract the iron ore out of the mineral. Now this involves the raw material of iron ore, limestone, coal. Coal you will be needing because the process of heating up the mineral requires coal. That energy is generated by the coal only. Then you have the machinery, the labor, the capital, everything as I had discussed earlier. Those are the inputs. So with iron and steel industry, what is the output is the question. So when this particular iron ore is extracted, it undergoes a process called smelting, where the ore is heated up to that extent that you can extract the mineral from there. And then in its pure form, we would be extracting steel from it. Now steel is a metal which is very, very strong, and its application, its usage, usability is as vast as an ocean. You name the sector, steel will be used in that particular sector. So smelting is done, and then in the blast furnace smelting is done, and the extraction of the mineral is done. Now this refined version is called steel. It is very tough, it is malleable, it can be used as thick steel also, and thin wires of steel also can be used, and plain sheets also of steel can be used. Now steel will combine with other metals, become alloys. These also are used, and these are like aluminium is there, copper is there, nickel is there. These metals as alloys of steel also are used by a wide variety of usages over here, and they are known for their strength and non-rusting property. They don't rust. Like if you at home, if you see, you have a steel utensil, you have an aluminium utensil, they don't rust. They don't rust easily, and for ages and ages, your mom, grandmother, her mother, her mother-in-law, all must be using the same utensil. So they go on and on. So they have that power and their capacity which lasts for a longer time when compared to the iron, because it rusts easily when it comes in contact with the atmosphere. So now the steel you can consider to be the backbone of construction purposes, of trains, buses, aeroplanes. Anywhere you talk about, steel is a very important component which is used in the entire process. You name the process and steel is available over there. Made from the household to the making of an aeroplane or to the making of a spacecraft, also steel is used. Now, earlier on the basis of raw materials and on the basis of power supply and water, these industries used to be based. Like wherever the source of raw material would be there, wherever the source of power would be there, and wherever the source of water would be there. In 1800, I'm talking about 1800, dated back to 1800 AD over there. At that time, iron and steel industries used to be located on the basis of these three factors. Then gradually development took place, and then the criteria of the location of the industries changed, and then the industries started being were built beside the coal fields, because coal was a material which was needed for the smelting process, and then the access to the railways and the canals was seen. In that way, the location of the industry was affected. But as the demand increased and the worldwide demand increased, then came a necessity where the iron and steel industry started being established near seaports, because these were heavy metals and they had to be transported from one place to another, and the sea route was the best to transfer, to export these materials, as well as certain materials to be imported. So these particular materials were very bulky, so establishing an industry right in the middle of land with no access of it being sent here and there very easily. So in the later stages of the development, we saw that the iron and steel industries were based majoritively on the seaports. Now in India, this industry has prospered very well. And what is the reason of this particular industry prospering so much? We have cheap capital over here. We don't have to pay a lot of money for the labor. We have cheap labor over here. So cheap labor is available, and you have abundance of coal supply over here. You have this mineral in the Mother Nature has provided India with the availability of coal over here. And then you have the transportation, the market facilities, the advantages of raw material. Everything is, I would say, promotes the iron and steel industry's business in India. So that is why in India also you at so many places you see the iron and steel industry has been established. In Bhilai you've got in Durgapur, you've got in Visakhapatnam. All these places in India, too many places in India, these kind of iron and steel industries have been set up. One major example of an iron and steel industry, the oldest one, is in Jamshedpur. Jamshedpur was, I would say, technically a very good place to set up the iron and steel industry. Way before independence, there was only one company over there which was privately owned, and the name was TISCO, Tata Iron and Steel Company Limited. It had a private ownership. But after independence, government promoted the development of many industries over there in that area, because geographically it was the perfect area to set up an industry which was iron and steel industry. So why was it so convenient for people over there to set up an iron and steel industry? Because only 32 kilometers from there was a railway line which had wide access to the places from where this particular iron and steel could be transported, as well from there also it could have been sent to different places. Moreover, it had raw materials, the coal fields were close by, and the iron ore access was also there, and it had the most convenient 2 rivers were there to supply water in that particular place. So what did the government do? Because this particular place was the apt place for setting up an industry, the government promoted the setup of iron and steel industries after the independence was given to us by the Britishers. So this particular area was not only famous for its iron and steel industries. The government developed over there chemical industries, industries which used to make agriculture equipment, the industries which used to make heavy machinery also. So that is the importance of Jamshedpur in India, has contributed a lot to the iron and steel production, and because of the iron and steel production, the sister industries over there developed, which actually needed the steel as the raw material in that case. Now, one more place which has been cited as an example is in your textbook is Pittsburgh in United States of America. So this particular place, again, very technically serving for the development of the iron and steel industries. The same criteria comes into action over here. The waterway, the Pittsburgh is located in the waterway system, which is the most feasible and has got access to many places from there. The inland waterways, and from where the rivers can take away the steel and transport to various places is very easy. It has coal fields around it also, and it is surrounded by 3 rivers to provide water to that industry: Ohio, Monongahela, and then you've got Allegheny. All these rivers provide water to the industry as well. Now these industries also don't only make the iron and steel, they don't just make the steel, we have railroad equipment is made, and then heavy machinery is made in the industries in that particular area, and the rails are made which are laid on which the rail trains run. So the basic concept of even this Jamshedpur and Pittsburgh is that when you have lots of availability of resources in that area becomes a hub of industries for which these particular things are apt for the prospering of the industries. So these were strategically located industries because they had a lot of scope for good production of things over there. So in the next lecture, I will be teaching you about the cotton textile industry. Thank you.